Wow, that was something new.
What, the countdown?
Yeah, the countdown. Instead of a 10-second one, or we did a 30-second one, but
It's kind of like it's the final countdown.
that would get me going. But all right, so we're on to our market update. If you guys have been here before, you know how it goes. We're going to give you basically inventory, which is low, below the ticker. We're going to give you what the current interest rates are going. David's predictions on where interest rates are going to go. My predictions on the real estate market, how that's going to go. And sometimes I feel like a broken record, but we'll go through all that stuff. But David, you want to take us away on interest rates first?
Well, I mean, this week, very volatile week. So for a lot of you out there, it's like you started off the week down at below 6% 30-year fixed rate mortgages, which still right now, I mean, if you look at that site that me and Vinnie always bring up, that is credible, that Mortgage News Daily, a lot of the other lenders who are on different platforms, they're going to be lower than the rates on there. And then the majority of the other lenders who are retail and banks are going to be higher. But throughout this week, the mortgage rate did this all week long, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And now at the end of the week, we closed a little bit higher. But the reality, to look at a bigger picture of why things have been so interesting this whole week was, first of all, you had GDP come in. GDP for the third quarter came in at 4.4%. That is freaking phenomenal. That is a lot of growth, a lot of forward momentum, and a lot of economic progress when everybody else and every single news media outlet was telling you when you put tariffs on, there'd be no GDP growth. It will be negative and we will be buried. And the complete opposite has happened. Everyone has been wrong. Next, your inflation rate went down to 2.2%. Now, if you watch our previous different podcasts and these shows, the lower the inflation gets, you think that's good for mortgage rates, but actually it's not as good as you'd really like, because if inflation was higher, it incentivizes the Fed to cut rates and it incentivizes the federal government to buy more bonds. Now, with that being said, you also had released the prior week that the federal government's going to buy $200 billion of mortgage-backed securities, which instantly made rates plummet. And then finally, to end it out, the wild cards that's going to happen any day now, the Supreme Court is supposed to make its decision about whether those tariffs are legal. If the Supreme Court says they're illegal and all those tariffs go away, I'm predicting the mortgage market is going to not be good, because we're going to start printing money again and we're going to be in a bad economic situation, which I don't want to see happen. But overall, it's like predictions. Next week, you have a new Fed chair, more than likely going to be elected. And I still think better times are ahead as long as those tariffs stay in place and the federal government keeps buying those mortgage-backed securities. I think you're going to be in for a 2026 that is going to be one of the better years, Vinnie, we've had in years for interest rates. And once again, I'm not counting the COVID rates because those aren't real. And for anyone that's going to ask and put in the chat and text us, when are COVID rates coming back? Never. They're never coming back unless aliens come down, or I don't know, maybe the ocean rises 200 feet and it makes no difference. But other than that, rates are projected to keep slowly coming down. And I'm going to start predicting after March, you're going to see even better rates. And then I predict our market. Unfortunately, Vinnie, what's going to happen when rates come down. Do you think you could tell me what happens when mortgage rates come down?
Yeah. So,
maybe this time it doesn't happen. Maybe this is the weird year. Maybe rates come down and home prices stay the same.
Okay, let's look at this fast. Oh, it only goes 5 months. Okay. So this is a detached and attached properties. That's crazy to think that we got, well, that was right when COVID happened, right? 1,300 properties in the market. Okay. Just look at that. This is a detached and attached property, San Diego County. Okay, 2,000, right? We got up to the 4,000. Still, we're like, we need more and more. And mind you, before COVID, and it's a shame we won't go back that far. This is the farthest to go. But we were getting up to, around 8,000 a little before COVID, right? So it's hard, give more sense to it. But this was that window of time when we talked last year, right? We're at close to 7,000 properties. Now, what happens during the holidays? Inventory goes down, we drop down. We got from 7,000 below, right, closely below last year's low, right? So we were like, oh my gosh, we're getting so much more inventory, so much more inventory, so much more inventory. Then it dropped. And you can kind of see by the clicker, right? We're past 4,000. Now we start getting more properties. As of last week, you start getting more and more inventory come in the market. But now the question is that time frame of low inventory and how rates get, like David talks about, if rates get low enough, and shoot, if we get closer to 5, right? Where David's talking about, you saw the last screen right there. We were in like the mid 5s, bumped up to the high 5s, or a little.
Well, let's take a look. So look at that. Show that Mortgage News Daily really quick, and let me point something out. So look at the VA 5.875, and look at the FHA, 5.85. Earlier this week, I locked in 2 buyers at 5.25%, APR 5.375. So you're still seeing windows of opportunity where all of a sudden the rate plummets one day, and you're locking in at 5.25. So
let's say you're getting close, and the rates are going to go lower. I mean, I believe the rates are going to go lower. I know all the stuff David talked about, but I still believe the rates are going to go lower. I mean, as we get closer to summertime, if inventory doesn't tick up, right, and the rates get closer to 5, and if David's talking about where we're going to have on here mid 5s, but he's about to lock people in the low 5s, right? What's going to happen when we start getting to the low 5? He's going to be locking people in the high 4s, right? What's going to happen when we start hearing that? Oh my gosh, I just got locked into the 4s. It's going to start getting pushed out there, low inventory. It's going to get bonkers again. It's going to get crazy.
I hope it doesn't. I hope this is the year, Vinnie, that this is going to sound really lame, but I hope both of us are wrong. And I hope the rates come down, but the values don't go up, which is completely the opposite of what usually happens. But maybe there's so much volatility in the market about how one side feels how the economy versus the other side feels versus this versus that. There's so much division right now that maybe we're going to get a neutral where the rates get lower, and yet we have, like, instead of home prices going up 5%, 6%, they go up 2%, which would be great for the consumer, because I don't really want to see home prices keep going up higher. And that's one thing we didn't adjust, Vinnie. I'll throw this out there. Also, you saw the current administration released last week that they're not going to let investors buy houses anymore. And everyone thinks this is going to save the market. It's not going to save the market. The investors only buy 7% of homes. So that's not going to be a big change. It sounds good. It's great for, feel good crap. But the reality of it is not letting BlackRock buy homes is not going to change the fact and make home prices dramatically come down. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think it'll make it dramatically come down, but it could have a slight effect, right? I mean, it's not
possibly.
Again, the only way that we're going to have a dramatic effect on prices, right, across the board, is if there's fear in the market, right? Because if you're selling a house, you're not going to basically sell the house drastically below what you think fair market value of the property is, unless you don't know what's going on. Those are outlier situations. Someone takes advantage of you, you're a senior, right? But most people, which happens all the time, right? But most people are not going to sell below fair market value unless there's fear in the market where they go, I have to sell. That's what adjustables were back in the day, right? So unless they're in foreclosure, unless they're in default, and they have to sell, and they're willing to take, lower than they know what fair market value of the property is, right? But there are outlier situations, right? Like you can find that one person where that property's been sitting forever, and you can go, okay, let me get this basically property below fair market value. But those are outlier situations. It's not across the board. So we're not going to see a huge effect on it. Right.
And as an example, like Vinnie ran into recently, every now and then you will come across some agents that are so dumb, they let their client go to foreclosure on a house as opposed to accepting an offer, which we've been witnessing and following. So, if you want to go aggressive, your agent's really good, talk to them. Maybe you get a smoking deal. Maybe somebody accepts, they're worried about the economy and they accept the house 5% under value. We don't know. It's a very interesting time right now. I think it's unlike anything we've ever seen, actually, with the way everything's going.
And I'm going to leave one last thing before we go. If the market does get crazy and we do have the chaos that some people talk about, which I don't think is going to happen, Go on HUDHomestore.com.gov.
Not
HUDHomestore.gov.
again. This
It's
is
our
fun.
bank-owned properties. This used to be packed with properties, but you can kind of see here in San Diego. No,
Oh, how many we got? Can you count them on two hands?
no.
What do you got?
But I mean,
10?
hey, if you're in areas where there's some, like there's some Palm Springs, Bakersfield. I mean, doesn't hurt. But just food for thought. If it does get like that, which I don't think it is, hey, a platform for you guys to check out. Thank you guys. Please reach out. Please call any questions. Here, I'll give you the information. Any last words of wisdom, David?
The Miami Dolphins did not make the playoffs, and I'm sorry for everyone out there about that.
Wow. Thank you.